what do we have here? I guess it's like not just a beer, like, or not just a story. It's like a metaphor. But this happened the other day, so I'm trying to recreate what happened. So I was just sitting here and like I popped open a beer and what could I hear? Like a big V8 car outside. And like I'm just pouring this beer and I'm thinking, I don't know anybody with a car like that, you know. It's just like mystery time, you know. So I just pop outside and it's like big brown 1967 Chevrolet Corvette, like brown. We would have a brown Corvette, right? And the guy leans out the window and he says, "Hey, come on, get in." And I'm like, "No, I don't even know you, man." And he's like, "I'm Mr. Goober." Mr. Goober? I don't know Mr. Goober. So he's like, "Come on, get in." So against my own instinct, I kind of creep around to the passenger door and I'm like, this is not going to go well. So open the door. In the back of the car, two like little guys, like green hair. I think you know the guys, but you know, Mr. Goober, he's like this guy, and he's got this purple top hat, like frizzy, long, wispy hair, like ginger hair. And I'm thinking, I know this guy from somewhere. And he says to me, you know, this is not your average 1967 Chevrolet Corvette. And I'm thinking, yeah, no shit, you know. He's like, every part of this car is edible. He said, you can even drink the gas out of the tank. He says, try it. And he pulls out this little flask, you know, and he's like, and on it, it's got like, I don't know, some kind of emblem or something. And he says, this is the finest quadruple distilled Kentucky bourbon whiskey. He says, try it. And he pours this little shot, you know, gug, 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 gug. And I'm like, wow. Yeah, it's like, it is Kentucky bourbon. He's running his car on bourbon whiskey, man. I mean, what kind of idiot is this? So I get in the car and he's like, don't worry, man. I'm not going to go at 55. I'm thinking, yeah, that's fine. This just cruise, man, you know. But be careful, you know. There's kids around, you know, 30 miles an hour down here, you know. So he pulls out, he goes, did you know the tires on this car are made out of ultra high modulus licorice? Oh, okay, you know, what's going on, man? So anyway, we get out on the strip, out the front, you know, neighbors are watching, and I'm thinking, I'm getting into this Corvette, and I can smell candy, you know, like chocolate, and, you know, all sorts of sugary smells, and marshmallow, and I kind of want to smell it now. Anyway, he says to me, you know, Mr. Goober, he says, this car is entirely edible. You can eat any part of this car, and it's either chocolate, candy, licorice, all this kind of junk. And I'm thinking, oh, crackpot. So anyway, he gets out on the front. It's a straight road, you know. And it's just like, take it easy, man. And he floors it. He actually floors it. And like, within like 2 seconds, we're doing like 95. And I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, man, this is too much. And then, do you know what? He hits the nitrous button. He's like punching at this nitrous button. And then it goes interstellar. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen like the Star Wars film with the Millennium Falcon. And it's like streaks of like stars going past you. Like, wow. And you think, Jesus Christ, man. And the next minute, like, I look over my shoulder. There's two little guys in the back, green hair. And they're like, you can tell they're scared that something bad's going to happen. And I can feel the car lift off the road. And the next minute, we're in space, man. We're in space. I can't believe this shit. You know, it's like, wow, Jesus Christ. And then the car starts shaking. it's shaking, and I'm thinking, we're breaking up. And Mr. Goober's like, pull that handle. And I'm thinking, I can't reach the handle, man, because he's too far away. I was thinking, Jesus Christ. He's eject. We gotta eject, man. We're breaking up. So the car is actually shaking, and it's the point of breaking up, and we're all getting smashed to pieces, man. And the next minute, it's like complete calm. Like, we've ejected. We're like floating in this intergalactic, like, space jungle. And we look down, and it's like this big purple mass of, like, I don't know, like, you know, like cotton candy. You know, what do you call it in the UK? Candy floss. You know, like you get, you know, if you go to the fairground or junk like that, it's hot dogs. All you can smell is hot dogs, diesel, and cotton candy. So we're like floating through space. And it's like, wow, it's so tranquil. Like the broken car is like there, and the two little guys are still in this car. And we're like, it's so calm and yeah, that's kind of cool. And I'm thinking, yeah, it's not so bad. I'm kind of thinking at this point, Mr. Goober, like, he's this crackpot, but I kind of like him. You know, he's got this wispy ginger hair. Whoa, dude, you know, all this kind of junk. And the next minute, we get drawn into this tiny little hole. And I'm thinking, we've just come out of this broken chocolate Corvette, running on, you know, Kentucky bourbon for fuel, and we're going through this tiny little wormhole. Ooh, and I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, man. Anyway, we're all getting sucked into this hole. And it's like, everything smells of like chocolate, but marshmallow and candy and, you know, all the kind of things that you think fairground, apart from the hot dogs and diesel fuel, you know, that's a bad thing. You know, we don't want diesel, Jesus Christ. Anyway, we're going through this tiny little hole. And it's very tight, you know. I can feel my body being compressed going through this hole. You know? Anyway, get through the other side, and we're like in this big garage. And like, you know, Mr. Goober says, welcome to my home. And I'm thinking, you never mentioned this when you're outside my house, that you were going to your home. And, you know, it's like this big garage, and it's full of like classic, like 1960s / 1970s American cars. Every single one of those cars is made of candy. Chocolate, candy, you know, everything. Even, you know, you can smell licorice from the tires. You can smell the vanilla from the bourbon being burned, from all those engines burning all this fuel. And he says, these guys build these cars. He says, they strip them down and they build a new car every day. He says, you want to go home, right? And I said, not in the broken chocolate Corvette. He says, nah, no way, man. It's going to take like 5 or 6 days to fix that. It's all broken up. Like shards of chocolate where we ejected and smashed through the roof. He says, what do you fancy going home in? It's like, I don't know. It's like a 1985 Cadillac. It looks pretty cheesy, but, you know, it looks safe. He says, we'll take the Camaro. I'm thinking, Camaro? That's one of my favorite cars, you know. It's like 1968. It's got the nice headlights, you know, big taillights, like, you know, the rectangle taillight. And he's like, you know what this car's made of? I said, yeah, it's candy. It's candy. He said, it's not just candy, man. He said, it's a very special candy. He says, this candy is laced with an ultra high modulus of licorice and fennel. Can you smell the fennel? And I'm thinking, I kind of thought it was like aniseed or some junk like that, but it's the same thing, you know, man? So Mr. Goober, he's like, let's get back in the car. And he's like, you want to hit the nitrous? And I'm thinking, no, man, it's supercharged. Why do you need nitrous? So we come back to my house, and I said, do you know what, Mr. Goober, do you fancy one of these Brewdog beers? And he's like, yeah, but I don't drink and drive, so I maybe take one home with me. So anyhow, this is the Brewdog, Jesus Christ, layer of cake. I guess, well, as a beer review, and I don't do these reviews very often, but it's kind of a Black Forest punch in the face. Chocolate, marshmallow, raspberry, that kind of thing. Kick up the butt with the odd, sugary, pair of Dr. Martens, that kind of thing. So if you don't like metaphors or going into space, leave it on the shelf. Buy some a punk IPA or some junk like that. But this is the deal, man. This is why I go for it. Mr. Goober, your chocolate Corvette, and the odd candy Camaro, and it is what it is. Smash it up. Don't go too crango though, because you got work tomorrow. Love you lots.